If we don't have free speech, then we just don't have a free country. It's as simple as that. If this most fundamental right is allowed to perish, then the rest of our rights and liberties will topple, just like dominoes, one by one. They'll go down. That's why today I'm announcing my plan to shatter the left-wing censorship regime and to reclaim the right to free speech for all Americans. And reclaim is a very important word in this case because they've taken it away. In recent weeks, bombshell reports have confirmed that a sinister group of deep state bureaucrats, Silicon Valley tyrants, left-wing activists, and depraved corporate news media have been conspiring to manipulate and silence the American people. They have collaborated to suppress vital information on everything from elections to public health. The censorship cartel must be dismantled and destroyed, and it must happen immediately. And here's my plan. First, within hours of my inauguration, I will sign an executive order banning any federal department or agency from colluding with any organization, business, or person to censor, limit, categorize, or impede the lawful speech of American citizens. I will then ban federal money from being used to label domestic speech as mis- or disinformation. And I will begin the process of identifying and firing every federal bureaucrat who has engaged in domestic censorship, directly or indirectly, whether they are the Department of Homeland Security, the Department of Health, Human Services, the FBI, the DOJ, no matter who they are. Second, I will order the Department of Justice to investigate all parties involved in the new online censorship regime, which is absolutely destructive and terrible, and to aggressively prosecute any and all crimes identified. These include possible violations of federal civil rights law, campaign finance laws, federal election law, securities law, and antitrust laws, the Hatch Act, and a host of other potential criminal, civil, regulatory, and constitutional offenses. To assist in these efforts, I am urging House Republicans to immediately send preservation letters, and we have to do this right now, to the Biden administration, the Biden campaign, and every Silicon Valley tech giant, ordering them not to destroy evidence of censorship. Third, upon my inauguration as president, I will ask Congress to send a bill to my desk revising Section 230 to get big online platforms out of censorship business. From now on, digital platforms should only qualify for immunity protection under Section 230 if they meet high standards of neutrality, transparency, fairness, and non-discrimination. We should require these platforms to increase their efforts to take down unlawful content such as child exploitation and promoting terrorism, while dramatically curtailing their power to arbitrarily restrict lawful speech. Fourth, we need to break up the entire toxic censorship industry that has arisen under the false guise of tackling so-called mis- and disinformation. The federal government should immediately stop funding all nonprofits and academic programs that support this authoritarian project. If any U.S. university is discovered to have engaged in censorship activities or election interferences in the past, such as flagging social media content for removal of blacklisting, those universities should lose federal research dollars and federal student loan support for a period of 5 years and maybe more. We should also enact new laws laying out clear criminal penalties for federal bureaucrats who partner with private entities to do an end run around the Constitution and deprive Americans of their First, Fourth, and Fifth Amendment rights. In other words, deprive them of their vote. And once you lose those elections, and once you lose your borders like we have, you no longer have a country. Furthermore, to confront the problems of major platforms being infiltrated by legions of former deep staters and intelligence officials, there should be a 7-year calling-off period before any employee of the FBI, CIA, NSA, DNI, DHS, or DOD is allowed to take a job at a company possessing vast quantities of U.S. user data. Fifth, the time has finally come for Congress to pass a digital Bill of Rights. This should include a right to digital due process. In other words, government officials should need a court order to take down online content, not send information requests such as the FBI was sending to Twitter. Furthermore, when users of big online platforms have their content or accounts removed, throttled, shadow banned, or otherwise restricted, no matter what name they use, they should have the right to be informed that it's happening, the right to a specific explanation of the reason why, and the right to a timely appeal. In addition, all users over the age of 18 should have the right to opt out of content moderation and curation entirely and receive an unmanipulated stream of information if they so choose. The fight for free speech is a matter of victory or death for America and for the survival of Western civilization itself. When I am president, this whole rotten system of censorship and information control will be ripped out of the system at large. There won't be anything left. By restoring free speech, we'll begin to reclaim our democracy and save our nation. Thank you, and God bless America.
Donald Trump was projected the winner of the election and became the president-elect. Now, imagine where we will be, after 4 years of him back in office. Joining us now, she is the co-chair of President Trump's transition team, Tulsi Gabbard. Will you think about going into the administration? I think you are a phenomenal asset in so many ways that I know that people may not know. And I've got to imagine that there is a position in this administration for you. Are you interested?
This is up to President Trump. Obviously, he's looking to assemble a team right now. If he asks me to serve in a position where I feel I can be effective to help him carry out his objectives, of course, I'd be honored to do that.
Let me ask you about, women were lied to about abortion in a whole variety of ways. Old people were lied about Donald Trump taking away Social Security and Medicare. The Harris-Walz ticket supported gender-affirming care for minors without parental consent. They support sex change operation and amnesty for illegal immigrants. And then they say they care about women's rights, but they were completely silent on all of the women the dozens of them that were murdered by their unvetted illegal immigrants, the dozens that were raped by those people or accused of it. They don't seem to care about the hundreds of Americans victims of violent crimes by unvetted illegal immigrants. How important were these topics to voters in your view? How big an impact did it have on this race?
Yeah, Sean, that's one of the things that really gave me hope in seeing the results of this election is the American people, the vast majority of the American people didn't fall for the lies and the propaganda that they were pushing out, and they saw through them. They saw that in Kamala Harris and in the Democrat elite and those who were backing and propping her up in the propaganda media and big tech and so forth, they saw that these are people who don't really care about the American people, that Kamala Harris was saying things that she thought would convince voters to support her. Whereas when you look at President Trump, throughout the campaign, he delivered the same message everywhere he went, regardless of the demographic of people that he was talking to. He wasn't trying to curate his message to tell people just what he thought they wanted to hear. And he was addressing very real issues that the American people are most concerned about. And so in the result of this election, we saw, of course, a vast majority of Americans placing their trust and confidence in President Trump, delivering a mandate and rejecting Kamala Harris's agenda of open borders, of censorship, of free speech, of freedom of religion, of crime in our communities, her agenda of continuing to wage stupid, costly, and unnecessary wars that are counterproductive to the interests of the American people, and instead embraced President Trump's vision and promise, rejecting the neocons and warmongers of Washington, promising to end wars and prevent World War III and nuclear war, bring our economy back to life, lower the cost of living, and make life better for the American people. So this is a clear mandate that the American people have delivered in this election, and I hope these entrenched politicians in Washington are paying attention, or they will see themselves potentially in the next election without a job.
Tulsi, thanks for all you've done in this whole, campaign. You've been amazing. I appreciate it.
When Bobby Kennedy gave that speech when he threw his support behind Donald Trump, I was watching that with my wife and my mother-in-law, and they both have tears in their eyes as he's just reading down the stats of how unhealthy we are as a country. Yeah. And I'm really, really glad that Bobby ran for president this year, and I'm really glad he ended up throwing his support behind Trump, and hopefully he gets a really important position in there. But the one thing that I almost felt like you couldn't argue with him, that even if you don't blame the same culprits that he blames, which is what they love to say, but if your argument is that that Bobby and Nicole are blaming the wrong culprits, it's not the vaccines, and it's not the Wi-Fi, and it's not okay, I don't know, but what is it then? And why are you not interested in this? Right. Why are they the only ones who are talking about this? You're telling me we lead the world in chronic illness, and that's not something that comes up in any presidential election ever, right, other than when Bobby Kennedy runs for president? That's insane.
We've accepted a narrative that despite an actually great economic recovery, the vibes don't feel good. So we want to reject it and get something else. What will the future hold now that America has just decided that we're going to F around and find out?
I don't even know what that means, but the left is blaming everyone, everything, trying to find something to blame for Kamala's loss, and they still haven't realized that they're just totally out of touch with the concerns of everyday Americans.
Somebody who was going to be voting for Kamala Harris came up to me and said, "Oh my God, Trump's going to win." I go, "Why is that?" He goes, I went to the grocery store. Butter's over $3. I kind of laughed.
The $7.
What's that?
The $7.
What's that? Butter is $7?
Yeah.
What?
Some
is
places.
it framed in gold?
Wait, okay, did he not realize that gas had gone up? I realize that gas goes up several times a week. Joining me now, Tulsi Gabbard, former Democrat, co-chair of Trump's transition team. Okay, Tulsi, maybe that was a joke. I can't really tell, but it does kind of bring to bear what's really at stake in politics in general. Do you really get what bothers the American people and have a solution to fix it? But they still think this is largely a communications problem with the American people. Your response to the head scratching on the other side?
Yeah, Laura, that clip you played from MSNBC first really kind of said it all. Is they continue to think that they are awesome. They did a great job. Look at this huge economic recovery. Why don't the American people know this or appreciate this? They are so out of touch with the hardships and the reality that the American people have been living through over these last 4 years. They sit in their ivory tower eating their cake and look down on the people who are struggling and suffering, saying, "Well, gosh, I don't know what's wrong." The reality is that President Trump went out and traveled across the country. He listens, he sees people, and he recognizes the challenges they face and tells them that he will work for them. He's got a 4-year track record of doing that during his first administration. So they believe him when he says, "I'm going to bring down the cost of living." They believe him when he says, "I am committed to preventing World War III." Kamala Harris, I don't think she ever once mentioned nuclear war, not during her 4 years as vice president, not during this campaign. President Trump, almost everywhere he went, talked about the seriousness of the threat of nuclear war and that we are closer to the brink than ever before because of Kamala Harris and Joe Biden, and that he'll do all that he can to prevent nuclear war. These are the kinds of things that drove people from across party lines, from across the demographics, to say, yes, my vote is with Donald Trump.
You know, I think a lot of folks in the Democrat Party weren't as much concerned about making America economically strong again, or certainly not making America great again, but they were very worried about making Ukraine great and safe again, and this is some of the reaction.
One of our closest Democratic allies, Ukraine, now depends on a man who has criticized Ukraine, has attacked the support we have given Ukraine.
I'm heartbroken for the people of Ukraine because I am terrified about what is going to happen in a Trump administration.
A Ukrainian soldier in the trenches, as their ally just abandoned them, is wondering what I'm going to do next.
Tulsi, has Donald Trump abandoned the people of Ukraine, or will he?
Donald Trump is standing with the American people, Laura. I was with people in Western North Carolina, in and around the communities surrounding Asheville, the day before Election Day. And you know what I heard from them? They're coming home from funerals of their loved ones. They are telling me, hey, we still have over 500 people who have not been found in the wake of Hurricane Helene, and it's been over a month. Why aren't those talking heads talking about the American people who need a president who has their back? President Trump has their back, and this is why he's earned their trust and their confidence.
Tulsi, and I know you're not going to answer this, but I'm going to ask anyway. Can we see you, or will we see you perhaps in the administration?
That's a question only President Trump can answer. And congratulations to Susie Wiles. She is fantastic. I've so enjoyed working with her. She is a straight shooter, and I'm looking forward to seeing her as chief of staff.
Well, her source was quoted as saying, the clown show is basically not going to have access to the Oval Office. Essentially, I'm paraphrasing, but the words clown show was used. Is that a good thing?
Yeah, you know, she works very well with President Trump. I think she is of great credit to winning this campaign and being able to make sure that the train didn't go off the rails. And so, you know, I think she's going to do a fantastic job as White House chief of staff. President Trump seeks counsel from those that he wants to, but Susie Wiles will provide great leadership on his behalf in running that place.
Tulsi, always great to see you. Congratulations, all the hard work you put in.
My biggest thing was I was so happy for Bobby Kennedy, man.
Yeah.
Because he's the only person that I super know, like, as a human, you know? He's been a buddy of mine for years, and I've just known that he's I trust him. Like, it's almost like you have people that you know and that are good people. It's like,
yeah,
I have to trust my own instincts at some point and know I know him.
Right.
You know, he's somebody I would vouch for.
Right.
You know, he's a good guy, and he's been helpful to me, like in moments where I have struggled as a person, and just been inspirational to me. You know, it's like I know him, you know, like a friend. And so that's, I think, like, that was something I was like super excited about, just to see where everybody was like, screw this guy, you know, and to see him have a arc where it's like, he always cared about, like, the rivers and the environment, you know, and then he started to care about the environment inside of our bodies, right? So for me, that all makes sense, right?
Former Democratic Hawaii lawmaker Tulsi Gabbard is the co-chair of President-elect Donald Trump's transition team. Here's Bryce Moore.
Tulsi Gabbard says though she's currently in West Palm Beach, Florida, she's never stopped being an island girl.
I bring Hawaii and the people of Hawaii with me in my heart everywhere I go. And if given the opportunity to, in these circumstances, raise their concerns, of course, I take every advantage of that.
Hawaii House Minority Leader Representative Diamond Garcia says Tulsi's influence presents the chance to finally fulfill the Hawaiian Homelands Commission Act.
It was passed in 1920 by then Republican Congressman Prince Kuhio. It was signed into law in 1921, which set aside 208,000 acres of land for the rehabilitation of Native Hawaiians. President Trump is a developer. He's a builder. Let's build homes and clear the wait list and truly fulfill the vision that Prince Kuhio set 103 or 4 years ago.
With Tulsi serving as co-chair of President Trump's transition team, there's now a direct line from Hawaii to Washington through a woman with Pacific Island heritage.
Whether it's people like Representative Garcia or others who are advocates for Native Hawaiian issues in Hawaii, what I can say is I've seen President Trump paying special attention to some of these issues.
Now, Garcia points out that despite whatever party you tend to vote for, it's evident that Tulsi has the opportunity to bring local concerns to literally the highest national level.
This is our time to unite, regardless of party, and Hawaii's blessed because we have direct access now to the Trump White House to get things done for Hawaii.
The aloha spirit that I carry with me is something that I will continue to do no matter where, with that heart always for service and working towards the best interests of people of my home state of Hawaii and our country.
Tulsi would not comment on if she is vying for a cabinet or administration appointment, saying she's focused on helping President Trump build a strong team that is committed to upholding the United States Constitution. Bryce Moore, KHON2 News, working for Hawaii.
I was actually with RFK yesterday. We definitely do want to, honor the promise that we made, make sure that he's involved in whatever capacity sort of he wants. And I think he'd do an incredible job on the stuff as it relates to health. I love what RFK can do to health. I have 5 young kids. I want to make sure I'm not poisoning them, when they have a meal. I think that's incredible. I'd love to let him go wild on some of these things, or at least shed some light so the American public understands exactly why we are where we are, exactly why we're so fat, exactly why we're so unhealthy, and why it seems like so many people are trying to keep us that way rather than let us be healthy.
What will we do with this moment? How will we be remembered? Look at the opportunities before us.
This election really isn't about the left versus the right. It's about we the people choosing our government and the choice between freedom versus tyranny.
Nobody has a chronic disease burden like we have. Why are we allowing this to happen to our children? Ultimately, the only thing that will save our country is if we choose to love our kids more than we hate each other.
What is going on here is deeper than politics. It is deeply spiritual. We are being called to rise above the hatred and the fear and the evil.
We need to remember above and beyond that we must love our neighbors, that we must treat other people as we hope to be treated.
You want to be a rebel? You want to be a hippie? You want to stick it to the man? Show up on your college campus and try calling yourself a conservative.
America is going to reach heights that it has never seen before. The future is going to be amazing!
Don't you want healthy children? Don't you want a president that's going to make America healthy again?
I come to you today as a former Democrat. I will be a first-time Trump voter tonight.
The people dreamed this country, and it's the people who are making America great again.
Making black and blue.